So Adam but Greg and Anil, you guys can definitely jump in on this one as well. Can you take us back to where Akash started and then talk a little bit more about where we're going from where we are today?
Oh boy, that's a long one. Yeah, I spoke to it. Yeah, I spoke to it a little bit earlier in this discussion, which is that originally we were, uh, part of it is that we felt that the internet had kind of lost its way. Okay, especially with respect to how applications are hosted on the network on the internet. It was supposed to be this decentralized set of nodes that could withstand nuclear blasts and things like that. It's independently owned. And it turned into, and it had been turning into, this thing where if US West 1 goes down on AWS, no apps worked anymore, right? So there's clearly a huge amount of centralization happening on the internet. And that's one of the things we wanted to address. The other one is what I was mentioning earlier, where deploying applications, your choices were between something that's really easy to use, but really, really expensive and really had really poor performance, and something that was really expensive with respect to the level of effort required to use it. And then the benefits you got from it were, so-so, they weren't great. And so we've been hard at work for a long time attacking both of those problems. The decentralization piece, of course, we've opened up this entire, there's a huge amount of supply out there that's just untapped because there's so much friction in getting to it. So we've unlocked that with our marketplace, and now we have our console getting in place now to really leverage it. So I'm just super excited about where we're at now, because these things that we had been trying to solve for so long, we've been solving piece by piece, but we're really seeing the whole picture now.
Awesome. Anything to add, Greg and Neil, maybe on where we're headed, or anything else you guys would like to add before we move on?
Yeah, so like Adam mentioned, right? We are doing and Akash is one of the critical missing parts of Web3 in general is just this lack of traditional engagement infrastructure, we call it, right? Like in Web2, you know why a user, kind of dropped your usage because you have some metrics. In Web3, it's with no control means you also have no idea on some of the traditional tooling that you are used to in developing Web2. So a big part of our effort for console is to understand the user journey, understand where there are friction points in terms of adoption, right? So we have an idea just by talking to users, but now we can have statistically significant data that we can actually work upon, right? So a big part of pushing our console is to remove those friction points. And in order to do that, we need to start measuring our user activity, understanding the journey, understanding the points of interaction where there might be confusion or there might be just reluctance on the user part, and solve for problems that we know are obvious, but we want to see statistically significant data to back our thesis. So I'm really excited over the next, what console is going to bring. We're going to be very aggressive in terms of developer marketing with console. Now we finally have a product that we can, throw a web ad or throw a blog post and have a click to deploy mechanism directly from the blog post. So things of that nature, right? So I think you're going to start noticing much higher user activity, right? On Akash, and this user activity is just not madness. This is measured methodically, this is quantified, and this is and we'll be iterating quite a lot based on this high quality data. So I'm really excited for all the experimentation. Next few years, it's very obvious now we're in a bear market, but I think it's going to be a lot worse. I mean, that's the general consensus, and it's a prolonged market. So we're with console, I think we can be hunkered down and hyper focus on users and nothing else. And when the light finally comes, you're going to see a lot of these efforts come to fruition. So I'm super excited.